Yep. I'm watching my clock.
All right.
Okay, my phone says it's 6 o'clock now. So we can go ahead and call this meeting to order. And we are going to try and incorporate the Pledge of Allegiance back into the beginning of our meetings. My experience doing it with my kids' Cub Scouts is sometimes if we have too many people unmuted, it gets laggy. So we'll see how it goes and maybe, in the future, limit how many people unmute. But if you all want to rise, we've got a picture of the flag on the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. And welcome to Kathy and Jamie to your first meeting as an official school board member. Now can we get an approval of the organizational agenda?
So moved. This is Melissa.
Second, Candy.
Motion made by Melissa, seconded by Candy. We'll do vote by roll call. All those in favor say aye, starting with Melissa.
Aye.
Candy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
And Jennifer? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Now on to the organization of the board. And I'll ask for a nomination for chairperson.
I make a motion to nominate Jennifer Lewis Canigator as the chairperson.
Thank you, Melissa. Jennifer Lewis Canigator has been nominated as chairperson. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I can announce the election by acclamation as the chairperson is Jennifer Lewis Canigator. And we can move on to election of the vice chair treasurer. Do I have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Candace Carta for the vice chair treasurer.
Candace Carta has been nominated for the vice chair treasurer position. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I can announce by acclamation that the vice chair treasurer is Candace Carta. Do we have any nominations for the position of secretary clerk?
I nominate Melissa Curtis as secretary clerk.
Melissa Curtis has been nominated to the position secretary clerk. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I can announce the by acclamation that the secretary clerk is Melissa Curtis. Thank you, everyone, for that. Now we can move on to the next, I can't think, things on the agenda.
There you go.
And Jill, I know we need to read each individually, but we only need one motion?
Correct. Yes. They are D through J. And K is a separate one.
K is a separate one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do I just read everything on here then?
Someone can make a motion to approve the
Okay.
D through J, but they do have to read those, and then someone can just second it and they don't have to reread them.
Okay.
I can do that, Jill, if you scroll up. I was trying to get it on
Okay.
my phone so I could look and do each one,
Sure.
but
How's
my
that?
phone was not fast enough, so sorry. I make a motion to approve the election of the chairperson, as Jennifer Lewis Canigator, the election of the vice chair treasurer as Candace Carta, the election of the secretary clerk as Melissa Curtis. Designation, and you said going through how far, Jill?
Right, we just
Through
need
J.
to, yeah, through J.
D through J.
Designation of the official newspaper of District 882 Monticello Times. Designation of the official district depositories as CorTrust, Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, Minnesota Liquid Asset Fund, PMA Financial Network Incorporated, Morgan Stanley, Bremer Bank, and MidAmerica Trust. Set monthly per diem rate for board members is $305.52 a month for the 2021 calendar year.
Oops.
Okay. Establish the official meeting night for the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. in the middle school boardroom. Motion to participate in federally funded programs. Legal counsel and authorized contracts. Legal counsel Kevin Rupp of Rupp, Anderson, Squires, and Waldsburg, PA School District authorized contracts. Eric Olson, Superintendent, Tina Burkholter, Director of Business Services, Barb Wilson, Human Resources Director, and then motion to enter into contractual agreements with colleges and universities assigning student teachers to our district.
Second.
Motion made by Candy Carta, seconded by Melissa Curtis, to approve the items listed as D, E, F, G, H, I, and J on the agenda. All those in favor by roll call. Melissa?
Aye.
Candy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
And Jennifer? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Now moving on to K, which is to approve Eric Olson and Jill Tessier as Education Identity and Access Management. And there's a board resolution.
Right, we'll just need approval for to designate Iowa is what it's called, to authorize users access to the state of Minnesota secure websites for the school district organization. So in order to get those websites, Eric and I will have access to that. So we'll need your approval for that.
Do you need a motion?
Please.
Yes, please.
I move to approve Eric Olson and Jill Tessier as Education Identity and Access Management Board access management individuals.
Second.
Is Candy second?
Motion made by Kathy Zebarth and seconded by Melissa Curtis. All those in favor by roll call. Kathy?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Candy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jennifer? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. And at this time, I can ask for a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting part of the night.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Candy Carta, seconded by Melissa Curtis. All those in favor by roll call. Melissa?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Candy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Jennifer? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. This part of the meeting is adjourned at 6:09. And now we can go into the regular meeting part of the night, and I'll call this meeting to order at 6:09. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. This is Candy.
Motion made by Melissa Curtis, seconded by Candy Carta. All those in favor by roll call. Candy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Jennifer, aye. Motion passes 6-0. And I'm not aware of any citizens' comments tonight. Jill, correct?
Correct.
So then moving on to the consent agenda, board members, you would have received the packet of information. If there's anything that you feel we need to discuss or if you have questions on, let me know. Otherwise, I can call for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from December 21st, 2020.
And with the consent agenda, we can approve all of those items at once. So,
Second.
and Kathy, do you want to make that motion to approve all of those, just the consent agenda as a whole?
I move to approve all of the items under the consent agenda, A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion made by Kathy Zebarth to approve the consent agenda and seconded by Melissa Curtis. All those in favor, aye by roll call. Jamie?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Candy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jennifer, aye. Motion passes 6-0. Now moving on to the student representative report. And I believe we have Jonathan May here for that.
I can just go. I'm good to go. Okay, I'll just start. So all the students kind of right now, I think everyone's just kind of waking up after that week and a half that we had off. I think when they first introduced the Google Meets for every single hour plan that we're running right now in the high school, I think there was a bit of early dismay from a lot of seniors that I heard. But I think students have adapted to that, and I think this is the schedule that works a lot better, because instead of just going into Infinite Campus and pressing like the I am present, you actually have to go into the Google Meets, and this forces a little bit of accountability onto the students. And I think that helps students pay attention a little bit more and definitely helps with learning as well. And I think this has been far better than what happened last year, I think, especially because we weren't caught off guard this time. I think with the preparation that we've put in, I think it's a lot more effective. Just starting today, winter sports have kind of started back up. And I think this is kind of a bit of a return to normal for a lot of students, a bit of a relief, because now they can kind of get out of the house and they're actually going to the school to participate in these sports. So they're not as cooped up. Of course, every single sport is mask mandatory, I think. And that's also incredibly important just to make sure that we stop the spread as much as possible. Overall, I think through these times, students have forced to become more responsible. And I think that adds a lot of extra stress. But this is the best plan possible for our current situation that we're in, I think.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's always nice for us to hear the student perspective.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, could I ask you a question? In
Sure.
some of your classes, are you noticing that there's a lot of kids that kind of go like blank on the screen, or is there a lot of participation? Is it a lot more different from being in the class? I guess I'm just kind of wondering how people are like, our kids are responding like in the class.
I think kids are doing I think teachers are doing a really good job of like making sure that everyone's participating and asking if anyone has any questions and calling on people throughout the Google Meet. So I think they're doing a really good job of that. So forcing the participation, which is good.
Okay. Otherwise, those would get to be kind of long classes if you didn't have that volley back and forth. Yeah. For both you and the teachers, I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
I have a quick question for Jonathan.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are most of the students in your experience leaving their cameras on during class, or do they I know that the students all use their ID portrait picture now as their default. So is that up to the teacher whether or not they leave their camera on, or how is that being handled?
I think the classes that I'm in, I bet if some teachers require, I think in like 2 of my classes, teachers require to have their cameras on. I think that just helps with a bit of student-teacher interaction over the Google Meet. But like in classes where it's not required, I think I see probably 85% in most of my classes of people who just voluntarily turn their cameras on, which is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have anything for Jonathan tonight? Well, thank you for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time.
Thank you.
Now we can move on to the call for site improvement bids for 2021 with Tina.
Good evening, board members and new board members. In our 10-year plan, every school district for about 4 or 5 years have had to have a 10-year plan. And in our 10-year plan, it has a lot of projects that are deferred maintenance or kind of preventing further erosion of our buildings, day-to-day normal operations in our building, not necessarily the equipment, but just the building itself, or the land, if you will, around it, or site. And so in our 10-year plan, we have 2 projects that are parking or asphalt improvements. Some of the main needs right now are the busing parking lot at Eastview and the playground pavement at Pinewood. We have some alternates that we will ask for in our bid. The first or second alternate is removing the Pinewood playground. We for sure need to do the Eastview parking lot, but if the bids come in higher than what we can afford in our 10-year plan, we won't do the Pinewood asphalt for the playground. But as of now, we're focusing on the Eastview parking lot. That's the busing loop right there, parking lot right there. The next page is the Pinewood playground pavement, and there's some different alternates there, either painting the lines, different inches worth of pavement being replaced there, or not doing it all, again depending on budget. And then also the third page is doing a seal coat as an alternate at the high school. So we kind of gauge from there. We're doing quotes as well as the bid, but wanted to see if we get a better price if we do it all together. So right now we're just asking to call for bids. The scope, the details of what is being required or asked of vendors is being finalized. Once we have that, then we'll do our advertisement in the paper for 2 weeks, and then have a bid opening hopefully in mid to late February, where we'll come back to the board that February 22nd board meeting or March 1st school board meeting.
Thank you, Tina. Does anybody have any questions for Tina? Do we have a motion to approve the call for site improvement bids?
This is Candy.
Jennifer.
Move. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Tina, is this the last of the projects that we need to go out for bid for, or do we have more scheduled?
This would be the last.
Okay.
Yep. I'll be working with buildings on capital, but it's highly unlikely any of those capital requests will go over that 175,000 threshold.
I make a motion to approve the to go out for bids as presented by Tina Burkholder.
Second, this is Candy.
Motion made by Jeff Hagley, seconded by Candy Carta to Approve the call for site improvement bids as presented by Tina. All those in favor by roll call. Candy,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Jennifer, aye. Motion passes 6-0. Now on to Eric for the 2021 dial-up plan.
So we'll use today's just COVID update as a last presentation of the plan that went out to parents, and then have any further discussion at the board level before we move forward for the month of January and most of February. So we do have about 2 months planned right now for our families. I know that as a school board, you've wanted it to be your goal to give families as much lead time as possible. We were lucky we were able to get in on a consultation meeting on December 23rd. And we were the only school that we had this scheduled a couple weeks prior. Most schools are getting their consultation meeting this week. So I think it worked in our favor to be one of the first ones in our region that had a consultation plan. There were several people there from MDH, MDE, our county. We had school board representation, and then we also had admin and teacher union representation. It was a very good meeting. They liked our plan. So in summarizing our plan, I'll take a look at these first 2 weeks back. The first 2 weeks are highlighted by continued distance learning and small group learning that where we have intense services coming into our buildings. So those first two, it's pretty consistent to what we were doing in December. And so that's the first 2 weeks. The one addition that we are doing starting January 4th here today, as Jonathan said, was our practices could begin. So practices in high school league activities did start today. Then we move to the next 2 week phase. So I'm going to take January 18th as the next phase. So January 18th can be earmarked or summarized by our elementary students, grades 1 through 3, coming back to their schedule that they had in the fall. So more of an in-person schedule, Monday through Friday. Their daily schedule is the same that they were doing back in September. So the hours of school we're resetting all the way back to the beginning of the year for grades 1 through 3. Don't forget, we already have pre-K and K already going, so they're going to continue as is. And then also on January 18th, we do get to have our nature-based programs, grades 4 and 5, come back. That was an additional request that we made to the state. They liked that plan, and they also liked that we did have a staggered start, so they honored our staggered start. And then the one additional new thing happening January 18th is that's the week that contests can begin with our athletics. So that's kind of the highlight of that third week here of January. And then January 24th, the week of January 25th stays the same. Really no additional new things happening. And then now once we get to the week of February 1st, that's the first week where we do get our elementary back, grades 4 and 5. So elementary's grades 4 and 5 come back the week of February 1st. And then we also have requested that our secondary also come back to a hybrid model. That first week, we dial it up just to having a hybrid meeting one day that week. And then the week of February 8th, that's when we will start more of our hybrid plan that we started the year with, where Group A has 2 days, Group B has 2 days. And for the most of the time, A has Monday and Wednesday, and B has Tuesday and Thursday. But if the calendar itself, so if the school calendar had a short week, or we added some planning days. Parents do need to pay attention to that, and students need to pay attention to that, because we may have switched in order to maximize the number of in-person days for each group A and group B to always shoot for 2 days a week after that first week where they're only having 1. And so really that format takes us all the way through, right now, much of February, but we didn't want to plan too much further after February. There's a lot of speculation of when teachers are going to be able to, and staff members are going to be able to receive the shot and vaccination. And so it looks like I'm supposed to get some high level information on the shot later this week is what I'm receiving right now from MDE. So we hope that's the case, and the high level information ends up being the schedule. So right now it's speculation that we would have the vaccination sometime in the middle of February is the speculation. So just wanted to make sure that that you had opportunity to ask any questions as a full board. I can tell you that we're going to continue with the safe practices that we have been doing as a school district. Really, COVID was not the thing that was keeping us from school. I think it's good for us all to remember that. It was the quarantine or possible contacts from quarantine of people who came in contact with people who had COVID. But COVID cases themselves, we were just a little over 2 cases per week for students and a little over 2 cases per week for staff members. So that in the size of district that we have is a relatively small amount. Obviously, we don't want anybody to have it because there's underlying conditions that can put everybody at risk. But we were running a very good ship through the months of September, October, and November. And then around mid-November is when we really started to see those staff quarantine absences and normal absences spark a very challenging situation for all the staff members trying to fill those positions that were vacated. We'd have some days on challenging days we could have up to mid-20s of staff not filled, so across the district. So that's just really hard to have those number of classrooms and important positions not filled when you're trying to educate kids to the best of your ability. So when we went back to this distance learning model, I do think it's reset a lot of practices for both teachers and for students. And like Jonathan was saying, it did give us an opportunity to improve upon what we started last year, and for kids and students to practice something that really, we should be prepared to do in our world in this day and age. If students choose to go to college after school, it is important to be able to know how to do classes that are virtual or hybrid or online, because that is the way of the world, and that isn't going to change. So it's important for all of our students to know that while we hope to get back to in-person models, it is also important to provide unique opportunities that prepare kids for the future. So questions on any practices, procedures, or a look ahead at this schedule and what we can anticipate in the future?
I have a question that I had received from a parent asking if she was referring to high school, but if you're a group B, are you a group B all year, or is it something that changes at the semester with the new classes? I had assumed you would stay the same, but I wanted to clarify if that was correct or not.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, Melissa, and I don't want to say right now. I think I have not asked that question yet. So while we're discussing here, I'll try to get the answer to that.
Sure.
I was fortunate enough to attend the meeting on the 23rd with Mr. Olson, and I want to just let the board know that he's being very modest and humble. The state representatives were absolutely blown away by our detailed plan that was very thoroughly researched, and they were very complimentary. They said if every district did this, it would make their job so much easier. So I really want to make sure that everyone understands that we are way above the curve in how we are putting together the plan to bring everybody back. I just can't say enough for how complimentary the folks at the state level were. So that was my first comment. My second comment has to do with when we return to the hybrid mode for the secondary students. Right now, the students are in distance learning, and they're having essentially classes, Zoom classes, or Google Meets or whatever their format they're using, at least 4 days a week. Now, when we go back to hybrid, are the students going to be just given busy work for the off days, or will they be attending in a Zoom format their same class during the same hour as they are now during the distance format?
Yeah, that question I can't answer, and for the most part, they will be attending the class. There are some classes, some specialty classes that may work a little bit of a different schedule. I know some art classes, some facts, some things that are challenging to do, in a synchronized instruction type of format. And some of those we have hired some different types of 60-day subs and some different programmatic subs that are helping both at the high school, and the middle school is hiring their first person to help provide some of those intervention at trouble spots for second semester as well. They're going through interviews coming up here in the next week. So we have some teachers that have been hired at the high school, and some teachers that will be hired, or one teacher that will be hired at the middle school to help in some of those hot spot areas where we can't do synchronized instruction. So we are working, we have been the whole year trying to work towards that synchronized instruction. There were, I don't want to give a percentage because it's somewhere in between 50 and 75% of our teachers were using synchronized instruction through as the time developed. But we also know that there were teachers doing what you were talking about, Kathy, and trying to find that way where they would give busy work a little bit more like what was happening last spring. And we're just trying to find that balance and encourage our teachers, and then we've been giving them training to help in that form to deliver that synchronized instruction. It works for some, it doesn't work great for others.
My understanding was we were waiting on some technology to implement that in a synchronized format as well. And has that technology arrived, and are all the teachers trained on it?
Yeah, we don't have, it's not per every teacher. We do have a few of the demo units here and installed, but there were teachers who were able to do synchronized instruction out on the lawn, with their laptop. So it's as much as the technology makes it easier, it isn't the only detriment that it's like you said, it's training, it's comfortability, it's more than just the technology itself as the deterrent at the beginning of the year.
So just to summarize, when the secondary returns to hybrid in February, the plan is that the A group will go Monday, Wednesday in person, and then the A group will attend their classes virtually Tuesday and Thursday, and
Yep.
the B group would do it in the reverse. And then what is the plan for Fridays? Does it remain the same, that it's just kind of an open day if you need
Yes.
extra help, or is it going to be more structured moving forward to make up
Yep.
kind of for the lost time, or not?
Well, right now we're still, it does provide a good intervention time, and so we are trying to catch those students back up through that intervention model.
What about for the students that are not in catch-up mode? Is there a plan for them? Because that, in my experience with high school students, it's been kind of an open day. Fridays have really not been very structured as we've moved along.
Sure. Yeah, at this time, that is the plan, is for it to be more of that open type of campus. We have, it's a good time for some of the assessments that teachers will, need to be doing, some of the hands-on assessments. So we, plan on using it, as a maybe more of like that college atmosphere where you get help, unscheduled help for some of those students, and then other students do have that more, time to attend to the business that they maybe weren't able to get to throughout the week.
Thank you.
Yep. And hopefully, we're only in that mode for, my hope would be to, be able to come back to you sometime, whether right before spring break or right after, and start to move towards a full in-person model if the statistics show us that that's what our next move should be.
I would love that.
Yeah. I know at the beginning of the year, my goal was that, to at least give everybody, 1 month of in-person at the end of the year. And now I do have that as a greater amount of time now, as I see that it feels like in the meetings that I'm at, which is, at least 4 meetings a week with regional, state MDH or state MDE, governor, it feels like the vaccination is closely is getting very close to distribution in our state. So that really will, I think, help our teachers feel more comfortable. It'll help our just will help our overall culture to know that we're not going to spread it from one person to our homes, and so I look forward to that day because it should provide some assurance.
And then I have one additional question. Has there been any word from MDE about what we're going to do with MCAs this year? Are they going to omit them, or?
Yeah, good. Right now they're planning on going forward with them. That was part of like the last week of December's meeting that I had with them. They said that that will be their focus for January, is to really get us all on the same page for statewide testing. But at this time, they believe it's important enough to put a lot of their resources into their people assigned to those duties to prepare those for us. So at this time, they're moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great questions. Anybody else?
Eric, where are we at with increasing the nature base to the higher age groups?
Yeah. So as far as like long term?
Yeah. So even thinking to this spring, as it starts to get a little bit nicer outside, or is there any talk right now or anything in the works with the older grades, even for this year or possibly next year?
Yeah, so for right now, we're just trying to secure those locations to take our current model and be able to double it. So that has been the planning efforts, is to try double what we are doing, but it wasn't doubling up grade levels into the secondary. So we have had training, so very, very small amounts of training where our nature-based program teachers have shared a little bit of their insight and stories to our classroom teachers at the buildings, especially at the elementary level. And, we hope to continue to make, nature-based as part of, each building. So more of that outdoor learning, a focus. So while we know that it's hard to find locations, and it's the community that offer that aesthetically pleasing beauty that Bertram does, and that Lestadian site does, we are still trying to grow that area, the Bertram area, to be able to double. But then we're also planning on, furthering our education of our teachers to be able to incorporate outdoor learning of the standards. So Ms. Foshing is on, and we've talked about that several times. And as the curriculum director, she knows that that's one of the areas that we need to keep working on with our teachers. So that's currently the plan. Obviously, long term, you hope that we can secure larger land on our own so that we can start to offer a different type of school setting. But right now, we won't have that for next year at a large scale. It's very popular.
I just wanted to thank you too, Eric. The communications that you and the other admin were working on, those communications were really wonderful. They were well laid out. They were well planned. So as a parent, I appreciate you for all the work that you and the admin had done on those. Excuse me.
The good thing is we meet weekly, and really we've been able to kind of stay ahead of what the state says. So our plan each time that the state has maybe done something different or thrown some kind of change at us, whether from July all the way through December, we've been pretty prepared because it's been a topic of discussion for several weeks. So so it's not like we're like, some schools maybe have felt more, challenged by some of the changes, but I feel like our admin have really been able to handle those changes at the state level and been able to incorporate them at their leadership team level. And there's just been a lot of discussion. And I think leadership teams from each site would say the same thing. In fact, I know they would, because the topics that come up from the state are topics that we've already discussed about. So I don't think they end up being as shocking. And we'll continue to do that. Using site-based management leadership teams is critical to developing a positive culture, especially when you're navigating change.
Thank you, Eric, for all of that information. Does anybody else have any questions for him?
And Melissa, I will look here quick. I did send Group A and Group B stays the same second semester.
Okay, good. I can pass that on then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
If there's nothing else, does anybody have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. This is Melissa.
Second, this is Candy.
Motion made by Melissa Curtis, seconded by Candy Carta. All those in favor by roll call. Candy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Jennifer? Aye. Motion passes 6-0, and we can adjourn for the night at 6:43.